All right, a couple of other things I want to touch on real quick. So a couple releases in WWE happened last week as well that got a lot of people talking. The first one was Lars Sullivan. I don't know about you, Richard. I was not completely surprised about this, but apparently this was done very quietly last month. But yeah, your thoughts on Lars Sullivan finally being released from WWE?
Well, I mean, it sucks. I mean, the guy had in-ring talent. That's the biggest thing that sucks. But at the same time, so many issues, so many rumors. It's hard to tell what's real, what's not. Some controversies, and the stage fright thing, which I've never heard with anyone before. So it's one of those things where that's one of those rumor things that's so out there. I kind of have to believe it.
Yeah,
because I've never heard that someone was afraid to perform like that. It's just okay.
Yeah, it's unfortunate in the last couple years since he's been called up from NXT to the main roster. Yeah, he's been just kind of a very, I don't know if tortured is too strong of a word, but he's just had a lot of unfortunate issues in the last couple years.
Especially anxiety. Yeah,
when he first got called up, it was supposedly going to be in a big program with John Cena and then later with Brock Lesnar, but he no-showed on that episode of Raw, and so they pulled it, and that's when he was gone from TV for a while. Then when he came back, he had like that really bad knee injury. I want to say, was it mid 2019? And he was gone well over a year, and he came back this past fall. I want to say October 2020. So it was over a year that he was out recovering from that knee injury. Yeah. And then even they came back and they had those couple sit-down interviews with Michael Cole that were okay. And we talked about it before, but and then he was off TV again. I guess he just had the anxiety issues. It was tough for him to go perform on TV. I know,
even
also,
in front of nobody.
Yeah, even last year, I guess his father also passed away, so I think that just weighed on him. So it's just unfortunate. I know there's a lot, as you mentioned, a lot of negative issues around him as well with the message board stuff that he did a couple years ago, way before he signed with WWE. So the guy's, had a troubled past, and I just hope that he can find, some help and get better. And he told WWE privately he's just done with wrestling. He wants to step away. So, and apparently he said in a recent response to Fightful, he said WWE was very compassionate, handled this very professionally and privately, and that's why it was like secretly or privately released last month, and we're just finding out about it now. So he was surprised WWE didn't put anything out like on social media on their website, but it sounds like they were very respectful of his situation. So give kudos to WWE for, I guess, helping him. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I hope the guy gets better. I don't know what he's going to do next now outside of wrestling, but yeah, I mean, we've seen him, obviously in NXT in person. We like the old school monster look to him. I mean, one of his best performances was that ladder match for NXT TakeOver New Orleans when he was with one of the 6 guys in that match.
For the North American title?
Yeah. That was a great match. And, he had the great matches with Keith Lee.
Oh, yeah. That was great. When we saw him wrestle, it was against Keith Lee.
Yeah. So, Richard, I mean, it's just kind of unfortunate what he could have done as like maybe a big monster for WWE. But the problem was on SmackDown, you have Roman Reigns already being the big bad, heel. So I don't know where they could have done with him. So it's
especially now seeing because we like you said, we saw Lars and Keith in person, and look at where Keith Lee's going right now. So just kind of imagine where Lars could have been.
Yeah, I know. So our thoughts are with Lars, and hopefully he gets better and just moves on with his life for the better. Also, it was announced that Steve Cutler, one half of, I guess, he was 1/3 of the Forgotten Sons in NXT and briefly on SmackDown, but also one of the Knights of
Baron
Corbin's stable.
King Corbin, yeah.
So he was released as well. He tweeted out the other day, quote, "Unfortunately, today I was released. It was shocking to say the least, but I'm excited about the future and all possibilities in front of me. Thanks for your continued support. 90 days, ... The countdown begins." So,
boy, I'm sure everyone's biting at their heels to get Steve Cutler.
Yeah.
In 90 days.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of speculation.
Change the business.
So there was a lot.
Watch out, Impact.
Yeah, well, his girlfriend, Deanna Praza, is down there. So I'm sure that's where he's probably going to land.
Yeah, most likely.
She'll probably put a good word in. So there was a lot of speculation. It's like, how did this happen? Because apparently Steve Cutler was well liked in the locker room. The day he got released last week, he was actually at the Performance Center in the big man's class. I guess he was helping out, helping out, like being I don't know what, when you help out in the ring. So he was
like an advisor.
Yeah, he was just like using his body like for the big guys to work on their moves and whatnot.
Oh yeah, like a sparring partner in boxing.
Exactly. So after they were done for the day, that's when he got released. So a lot of people were just like questioning, like, what is going on? How can he get released? How everyone who apparently he had a good, like I said, people in the locker room really liked him. So rumors or reports started coming. Allegedly, Vince McMahon had heat with him, or he was upset with him because I guess in the beginning of January he tested positive for COVID. Vince McMahon was really upset, and because Vince was the main thing he was upset about because he promised guys like Roman Reigns and some other people in the locker room that it was going to be a safe working environment, so it's okay to come back because we know Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, a lot of other guys were gone for months during the beginning of the pandemic because of they were worried about the working conditions and didn't want to catch COVID. And so you see a guy like Steve Cutler who comes in, tests as positive, Vince is going to be very upset about that. And so that's one thing people are alleging what happened.
Who are these people?
It was it Sean Ross Sapp or from Fightful? I have to look it up. I don't have the link here in front of me. I just copy and paste some of the news.
I just don't buy that at all, because he's underneath the totem pole. That's how low on the totem pole he is.
Yeah.
And for Vince McMahon to be mad at him for getting COVID sounds like it'd be one of those situations where they tell Vince that, hey, Steve Cutler's got COVID, and Vince would say, who?
Exactly. I'm sure
Like,
Vince
really?
barely knew him.
Like he has. It's not like Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis. It's like because he had no Mike via Maria. You know, it's like this guy had nothing. I don't think they had a match on the main roster. They appeared, didn't they?
They did.
SmackDown, when they were still at the Performance Center, they had a couple matches there, tag matches.
Yeah.
But then they were off TV when Riker, made those comments on Twitter, and they were taken off TV for months, and then they got repackaged as the two henchmen for Baron Corbin.
It's, if anything, I could see it where they had some plans for them again, right? Because typically when people are taken off of TV, unless you're getting a drug suspension, it's just that they don't have anything for you.
So
and if you get sick again, or you get sick, and you're about to debut something, maybe Vince just said, I'm done with that. Like, we can't keep holding this back because they don't, from what my understanding is, WWE doesn't like put the storyline in the back pocket. They erase it. So that, it's just kind of like, how many times are we going to use the eraser on these guys?
Yeah.
Like, that's my feelings towards it.
Well, and I hear you saying. So the other thing, some more details came out. So Deonna Purrazzo, who's the current Impact Knockout champion, also Steve Cutler's girlfriend, she tweeted out a couple things. So the first tweet was, it's interesting because listen, and there's some thoughts about this that I have. So she tweeted, we attended a New Year's Eve party like dozens of other people. When Steve tested positive prior to SmackDown, he was sent home and immediately started quarantine. He was not at work while being positive. Stop misconstruing the truth for clickbait. And this was in response to, I think, a Wrestle Talk post. She had another tweet that said, okay, but other people still employed did too. Thinking face. She had the thinking face emoji. So I guess other people who still work for WWE, I guess, were at this party as well. So a little bit of hypocrisy might be there. That's what looks like she's calling out. And then another tweet was, my reasoning is I was at a party with people who I spent the entire last year with who are tested every week. The worst case scenario happened. Once we were aware, we took every precaution to test and quarantine properly. Articles insinuating otherwise are false. So she's, I guess, a little upset, it sounds like, that while Steve and her got COVID from allegedly this New Year's Eve party, other people, I guess, who still work for WWE were at this party as well, and they're still employed.
So let me get this straight. So someone who had a bad attitude when they were in WWE and got fired for having a bad attitude and a cocky attitude is now voicing in her opinion as to what happened when she wasn't in the room or there.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the gist of it, right?
Deonna Purrazzo, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to get that clear.
Well, so it's interesting.
Send your hate tweets to Deonna Purrazzo.
No, so anyway, I see this, and like, I guess, trying to understand from her perspective, I guess she's maybe a little critical that
she's chasing a hug on behalf of both of them. That's what she's doing. That is to garner attention and sympathy for both of them because she wasn't there.
I guess she's upset that other people who've tested positive, who were at this party, are still working for WWE. And also, I mean, if you think about it, there are other people who have tested positive for COVID who are still working for WWE.
Yeah.
So but you brought up a good point. Like, maybe Steve Cutler was used as, I hate to say it, like a sacrificial lamb to set an example to remind people.
Don't
party.
No. I don't think that's it at all. He's not on their he's not in their radar. He's barely had a single cup of coffee on that roster. And
on SmackDown, yeah.
Yeah, and he's the least experienced of the three former Forgotten Sons members. So it's just kind of, why keep him? Like, honestly, like they really didn't do that much in NXT.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
Like what's his tag team partner's name?
Murphy. Oh, no, not Murphy.
Blake. Wesley Blake.
Yeah.
He's a former NXT tag team champion with Murphy.
Yeah.
Like, and he's dependable and trustworthy. And Riker's been around since 2002 in TNA.
Yeah.
Like, so you got this guy who's new to wrestling, and he's not that as experienced at all. His experience has been through NXT. So it's just kind of like, we don't really have anything for these guys. Which one of them can we keep and do something with? Let's go with the guy that has more in-ring experience.
Yeah,
that's my feelings towards it. Like, I don't follow these conspiracy theories that these people put up, even if it's the talent themselves. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it would be interesting if more comes out about this. As like what you're saying. It's
not, though, because it's going to come from one of them or a dirt sheet writer. The only way you get more out of this is through Bruce Pritchard on a podcast.
Explaining.
Like to me, it's just like the guy's dead weight. Like, seriously, I hate to sound blunt, but it's just like, what do you do with the guy? I don't know his personality at all. We never saw that on TV. So it's just kind of,
Well, yeah, no, so I'm saying it'll be interesting if this has any legs to it, if we'll hear more, maybe exactly what you said. Maybe it's just the reality is they didn't have anything for him, so they're just going to let him go. Or could it be really a consequence for attending this New Year's Eve party and getting COVID? So set an example to other people on the roster, like, hey, we're trying to have a safe working environment. Don't go out there, catch COVID. When you're not working, go home and be safe. And so I hate to say, maybe he was like used as sacrificial lamb. Deonna here sounds like she's just upset that he was fired while other people were at this party are still working.
Deonna sounds like she's been spending too much time with Gail Kim.
Hey now.
So anyway, it's just gonna be interesting. Like, and the other thing too, what I was talking a little bit off the air was, in other sports, there are athletes who, depending on your value to the team, is how much you get away with. I think it was Tom Tolbert years ago made a good analogy. I think like what your value is to that team or how much you make for that team is how much you're allowed to get away with. So like the top.
Let me put to you this way: how many tickets did Steve Cutler sell?
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. Is like a guy like the champion. He can get away with a lot more than someone like Steve Cutler, who is not the big draw for WWE. So Steve Cutler, if he screws up, it's more easy to cut ties with him.
Well, and that's even if you believe their story about the New Year's Eve party. Because who was the one that was sick at that party? Like, and who else got sick at that party? Like, nothing else is listed.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know. I mean, Deonna is like making these alleged comments, but was not saying who else was it. I mean, obviously you can't really, because that's other people's personal medical history. So it's a really, I think, sensitive situation that she's kind of tiptoeing her toes in. I mean, just case in point, we were talking Casey, was her name Casey
Cannizzaro?
She is getting, in the last like 24 hours, she's getting a lot of heat from fans because she, on her Twitter, I know it was Twitter or somewhere, she posted a video.
I think it was her Instagram stories.
During like the pandemic, this video it was like a really professionally shot video, and she was trying to give tips to everyone.
Yeah, like a PSA.
Yeah, how to get through this pandemic. And she's like, follow CDC guidelines, stay at home, only go out for essential rides. She's like, wear a mask. And then over the weekend, she's posting all these videos on Instagram of her out partying with no mask on.
With her friends.
So a lot of people are calling out her for being a hypocrite. She puts out this PSA of how to, make it through this pandemic.
And I don't know if I want to touch on this, but one of her friends was allegedly there the day on January 6th at the Capitol.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So anyway, just Casey, the WWE fans are calling out Casey for her hypocrisy of like being Miss PSA for the pandemic, yet she's out partying, not following her own rules that she's put in a video. So
yeah,
it's very interesting. So anyway, like I'm with you, Richard. It's like the Steve Cutler situation is very interesting because either was he let go because they had nothing lined up for him, or was he let go as a punishment for having COVID? And Deanna's, adding more drama to this situation by calling out, well, it's not fair that he was let go while other people still working who are at this party. So who knows? It's all subjected to people's to their own opinions and whatnot. So who knows? We'll ever get the full truth, or maybe Bruce Pritchard will save it for a podcast one day.